Welcome to the Out There channel, live stream 115. Now, I'm not sure if it's working. Been getting lots of errors. Looks like Google have been doing some modifications overnight again. I will try and cue some music and see how it goes. And then I'll post around the share link. Oh, what a day. A lot of problems. Is it working on YouTube? Can you hear volume? I have to put John back on. Fun. Oh, back on. Can you hear me now? Oh, my volume's getting loud here. I have to figure that out. Good to be back, but it's been a small intro. I got a few things that haven't been done. So yeah, it doesn't help. Google change things. I hit go live and it just hung there saying going live, camera connection connect. So did it play back the sound? Did you hear sound on there? Music? No.
Yeah.
You could?
Yeah.
It sounded like it was a bit too loud. It was a bit too loud. So if I go, it was a bit too loud. So if I go back to again, here we go. I should play the music. Welcome to the Out There channel, live stream 115. Now I'm not sure if it's working. Been getting lots of errors. Looks like Google have been doing some modifications overnight again. I will try and cue post around the share link. Still heard. I haven't heard any music though. Oh yeah, definitely there. Okay, so they haven't stuffed it up completely yet. Okay, I haven't really managed to post around going live because we've had a few problems, but I still got browsers and stuff open. Space. I'll do a share around live now, and then we can get into it. I haven't got Hangouts open, so I'll leave that shut down for this live. and just go on voice chatters on Discord. So I even had time to check out stuff that's been happening overnight. I don't know what's been happening on the socials, but it looks like there's a few messages posted around. So we got new time today, trying it out. The dog didn't even have time for the dog. You have to go after dinner or something to the park. So yeah, we got this new timetable up, and should be on the intro now and on our Twitter sites. And I'll just post here, going live, or now live, I should say, on the other screen. So you won't see me open that. Just do we type a welcome message? I suppose I better do one. I suppose you could type that up, John, down the side. So just use my normal welcome message. Welcome to the Out There OT channel, live stream -115. And I'll just keep on doing this over here. So yeah, hasn't been a great start to the morning with emails. The government have punished me for earning money. I'm allowed $100 a week extra, and I claimed $300 earnings in New Zealand from online. And I just got a letter saying now they have deducted money from me for the next six months because I earned $300, despite that was accumulated for a whole year. Even though it's even if you put it down as 30 days, it's still divided by 4 weeks would still be under the 100 gross threshold. So it's like dealing with robots, and they have all these little twists and turns to try and get you and not sort of help you, you know. And a couple of years ago, some guy just lost his head and started shooting up people because of this sort of scenario where they wouldn't pay him out, and he was out in the street and he had no money for food. So he just simply thought, well, might as well, if I'm going to go out and style, I might just shoot up people and get a nice place inside prison, 3 meals a day. So that's what happens when the system breaks down, kicks people out in the curve, doesn't give a shit about them, and yeah, it doesn't allow you to get ahead. You know, extra $100 in savings, which would never happen anyway with most people. Would help them out, you know, even to accumulate enough for maybe a bond for renting the place, you know. So yeah, so New Zealand's not perfect, but I suppose it might be better than America. I don't know. We could probably. You probably could post a Discord link there for anyone that wants to join the Discord as well. Oh, you have done. Oh, you mean like the one I just did? Yeah. Oh, you're learning, man. You're learning. I'm learning. You're learning. And we need more people like John joining. So yeah, I think I've posted it around now. So there won't be any faces on the stream today. And I'm not too sure where the people on Discord. Where's everyone on Discord today? So is Silver joining us at all, or anyone out there? No, he actually had to go to bed. He's right. He had a rough day at work, so he's going to go working for. Yeah, well, I'll try and aim it for this time to be good for USA people. What time is it in USA at the moment? I forgot. 6 o'clock, is it? 7. Coming on 7:30 here for me, so it's 9:30 where he's sharing a room with someone cold outside, so I'm sure he's in bed. Yeah. Cool. Hey, I'll close that down, and we should better get on with it. So who we got out there? We got two watching. That'll be John and someone else. I assume that your mic's working there, John. I won't. Did I hear you on the intro? I'm not sure if I did or not.
No, I wasn't. You didn't bring me in yet at that point, so it's all right. As long as they hear you.
This bit right, they can't hear you. Let's just double check again.
All right, check and see. Let's see if you can hear me. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. You're a wee bit lower though, aren't you? For some reason.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll just like I said, I'll get a headset with the mic on it.
So yeah, we had Earl from MUFON on last stream, and that was quite a good live stream if no one's caught up with it. He talks about his crazy stories and his own personal experiences, and how it relates to the alien agenda. So yeah, go and check it out if you haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, his story is amazing, guys. If you haven't heard it, you really back to this.
Yeah,
it's pretty astonishing what happened to him.
Yeah, I've also put up. Gerard's done a nice intro track. Let's see if I can bring it up and play it for intermissions. But since I'm keeping stuff under 3 hours now, there may not be intermissions unless I have a break at 2 hours, I guess, or 1.5 hours. I suppose I could use it. Normally I had it at the bottom here. Where is it? Probably way at the top now, is it? Where's the link to it? Why can't I see it? Playlist for the music and art. Should be here, shouldn't it? Out there, but shoot, no. Especially for you. Oh, here it is. So if I go into here, always puts the label of the first one in the playlist at the top. Not even sure if the sound's working now, because I had to reset it. Oh yeah, I think this one. Yeah, I think it's working. I can hear I can see some things going up, but a good tom sound there on the drums. So this is a new one here from Gerard at the bottom there. So how can I move that one up to the top is the question. In the playlist. Will it let me do it? What's that one? Shuffle. You think you could just simply get me slide it up? No, it's got a cross on it. Probably have to go edit playlist or something. Edit video. Where's edit playlist? Good question.
If you can find a way, good luck. That's where their weakness is on doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's a pain redoing playlists.
Should be an edit button up the top here or something, shouldn't there? Unless it's hidden. Probably got to do it in the main thing. They've been reshuffling things. So anyway, it's this one here. Looks like I'm going to figure that one out, so I'll put it at the top next time.
You are listening to the Out There channel.
Problem is, when I listen to his sound, I feel like going to sleep. It's relaxing. He should do anti-stress music. So it does slide through different pictures here of aliens and stuff. I like that one with the 3D effect with the moose. He's looking for aliens.
Searching for the truth behind the UFO phenomena.
Yes. People probably can't hear us because it's loud. Probably can tune it down here. Yeah, the moose is searching for the truth. I left that playing a wee bit longer at the beginning there so people can have a good look at it on full screen. I posted a link to it if people want to listen to it directly sometime. Very Vangelis with his comments. Also, Michael Gerard. That's another one Gerard's doing. He said, oh, you could use it for a t-shirt, Men in Black. So these ones are from the internet, public domain, or whatever. New music. So basically, it just goes through various UFO patterns, pictures that people have done on the internet, and also drawings done by actual abductees, especially children. So it brings out a few pictures there, and it goes on for 20 minutes. And as you can see, it says a woman there saying out their channel and seeking the truth, and it has various other parts in it. I think he has a guy voice coming 3 times in it as well. Can't remember what it said now. I can't remember what position it was, but it's there somewhere. Skinny Bob.
You are listening to the Outnet Channel. The Outnet Channel.
That one. Skinny Bob.
Yeah, I did. I'm just trying to find the bit. Yeah, I'm just trying to find the bit where the guy talks. I think I've probably gone past it.
You're doing in order to provide real.
So we got, it's coming up here. We got some mantises.
You see, the thing about the UFO phenomena is you really have to know what you're doing in order to provide real evidence.
So there you go. I hate that when you double click it, it makes it full screen. So yeah, what Gerard's put there, you have to know what you're doing to provide real evidence. So yeah, Gerard's had enough of these hoax channels out there putting up garbage and not actually doing any analysis on it, which is basically what I'm going to cover now, going over some of the stuff that's put up recently. But yeah, that's quite a good thing there, and we'll use it when we do long shows, maybe where we need a loo break.
Thank you, Gerard.
Yeah. So yeah, it's good having someone that's got some music skills as well as graphic artist skills.
Absolutely.
I told him to give me the details, and I'll update the description for him and give him a plug. But would you be damned? I've lost the bookmark to his channel where he sells his music. So I looked high and low for it, and I couldn't find it. So I'm not sure what happened to it. Men in Black must have erased it. Anyway, on to the next topic. So just go to my Twitter page. Now, I've updated that with the new timetable. Here we go. So I haven't changed this logo here. This is one of my original logos with the TR3B sucking energy from pyramids on the moon there. So I'm not logged in, as you can see. Can I get rid of that? I think I can. Go away. Don't need to be logged in. All these links, of course, are in the About tab of the channel itself. But I'll post it down here just in case I just want to jump in now. So what do we got down here? So we're getting better. We're getting more and more professional at this sort of stuff, but we don't want to be too professional. We still want to be like the average Joe. Average Joes of the UFO world. As soon as you become too commercial, it looks too much like another TV show, and that's why people come to the YouTube. They want everyday blokes and girls. Stories that's not been edited and scripted or whatever, you know. This is all raw, uncut. And of course, there's the new Times logo, much better layout. Me and Gerard spent, 1 or 2 hours nutting out all the different times. We got Eastern, which is New York, side of America. Pacific, which is California. Greenwich Mean Time, which is UK, and then we also put down John's location there, Mountain Standard Time, Arizona, and of course New Zealand time at the top here, which is 9 p.m. Ah, right, geez, that's wrong. It should be 3 p.m. Where did the 9 p.m. come in there, Gerard? I thought we had it fixed. It's now 3 p.m. Oh dear. Unfortunately, I only
That's why I was confused. I thought I read that properly the first time.
Yeah,
I did. So that's why I was going to take it.
Well, it is 7 p.m., wasn't it, when we started, or roughly?
Yeah, so that worked out okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if Gerard's watching or listening, but we need to edit that again, I'm afraid. Well, typo. Better post a
I'll send them a push real quick at this point.
Yeah, I wish I spotted that. Sorry, but I just ain't had the time. But it's still good. As long as people follow the times in their location down the bottom here, they should be right. It's only the Kiwis that are going to be confused at the stage. So what have I been putting up recently? Quite a lot of stuff to do with various people. So let's start with this one here, which comes from Texas Jane. So this is the photograph on, let's see, I'll just open it up into a separate tab. Also, I'm going to talk about stuff that I talked about with Earl about the Vimanas. Some stuff I found recent again, but I noticed the episodes I did on that Indian atomic bomb stuff, Google had corrupted the screen. Hopefully it's not corrupted anymore with the updates, and I will look at when I get a chance different types of radars and why secure teams weather maps with hiding UFOs and chaff doesn't gel. So a few things to cover. So this was taken from a MUFON case, I believe. Let's have a look here. So we want to go to type that in.
I just messaged Gerard, so he
All right.
apologizes for the mistake.
Yeah, it's all right. Things happen. I'm not even sure if it's in the intermission wrong, is it? I forgot to even check. I forgot to even check. It was 3 p.m. Probably is. It doesn't really matter. That would just confuse people in New Zealand, that's all. And probably Australia, because we're pretty close in timelines there. I think they're about 3 hours difference, depending on daylight savings, of course.
We don't care about the Aussies.
Yeah, I don't think we're seeing too many Aussies in here lately, hey? So what was that number? I was trying to cut.
All the good ones are Pine Gap. They're busy working at Pine Gap.
Yeah. I was just trying to get that number so we can bring up the actual case. This has changed too, hasn't it? So it's not right here. What's happened here? I think they've changed as well.
I don't know what's changed. What do you see?
UFO Stalker's changed. I told it to load the beginning. It's changed the everyone's changing the stuff and it's all catching us out. UFO Stalker. You're not seeing UFO Stalker on your screen?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I've seen that. I'm just wondering what it is that's different about it.
I don't think we had this down here. I think that's all new. Bigger font, I think. I just wonder if he's got open tab fixed, because that's one thing that really annoys me. And no, the only thing that needs to be fixed is that, and the zooming in and out. He may have fixed the zooming in and out business.
Yeah, I remember that from last screen.
It does seem to come up a bit better now.
Good.
But we've still got a problem where if you click on one of these things, that we'll probably lose our place. So if we go back, it should stay in the same place. And did it? Maybe they fixed it now. Let's go over here. And then we go, definitely a bigger font, different layout. But it's looking good. It's looking a wee bit better than it was. No, didn't go to the same place. Went over this edge here. I clicked on this one over here. Well, let's choose something further away. UK. Oh, Ireland. Ireland had a few there. Oh, no, it hasn't quite fixed it, has it? Ireland had a load of UFOs there. No? Maybe it's just a glitch.
I see Dakota's up setting him a push for.
Okay, let's see if it goes back to Longford. No, goes straight back to where it started when it first started up. So they haven't fixed that problem. I'm not sure if we can communicate with these people and tell what the problems are. They should be watching my live stream. Of course, they don't want us using it on live stream, obviously. So this is the one anyway. Buffalo, New York. And there's the two images on the side, rotated around the wrong way. The objects there. But I did do some enhancements on it. So the witness says here, witness with two other individuals, an object in the sky that moved quickly, a small trail of something followed behind along with a plane of some sort about 100 feet away. So yeah, to me, when I looked at this, what do you think? Now they're saying it was a silver disc further down, wasn't it? So let's have a look. I was smoking a.
We have Renee and Frank Spico from Australia right now.
All right, hello Renee. Yeah, a bit flustered, goated with problems today. Frank, how's it going? So we do have someone from Australia in here. That's pretty good. If you should join the Discord, I've seen UFOs yourself, especially if you've seen it from very close and personal, like you can actually see it was a craft, not just a light in the sky. We're definitely interested to hear from you. So I think this one, they claimed it be a disc shape. So let's have a look. Followed a small distance behind this object was a plane of some sort. Well, I don't see a plane in the photograph. That's it, rotated around the right way. To me, it looks like it's a white object of some sort. And it looks low down to me. And we got no indication how big it is. To me, it kind of looks like a balloon or maybe even a seagull. Well, that's the best I can probably come up with without having to see the video. There's no video. Taking a photograph is no good. It was not a regular plane. I am not sure how to describe it. So, could it be one of these flying... looks like a flying wing, doesn't it? Looks like one of those flying wings, but it's a white color. Kind of looks like it was changing shapes though, but that might be just camera artifacts. Let's see, I had another image here too. The other one done. See, so it looks like it's changing shape, which birds tend to change shape because they move their wings slightly. To me, it kind of looks like a seagull because we've got that angled bit in the wing here. And because it's so far away, it's pixelated. And of course, we ain't got much detail to go on. So, yeah, it could be anything, but it's definitely not a UFO. I'd say it's something man-made or natural. But what we really should do is see if we can find that plane they're talking about in Plane Finder. But they said here it looks like a disc. Let's see. Well, she said they said it was a disc. Here you go. I recovered pictures of the craft. Now, what they're talking about here. My phone, I was only able to capture a second of activity as the house covered my view of these craft. For maybe a millisecond, they both disappeared. I recovered pictures of the craft that I would describe as shining silver or platinum color flying saucer that had lights around the middle of the wildest part of the craft. Come on, does that really look like it's a silver craft in the picture here with rotating lights? Are they talking about the same photograph? You know? So is this another hoax one straight away? You know, it has the feeling of being hoaxed, doesn't it? If anything, you could say it was a small plane, maybe a banner plane, and you're just not seeing the banner plane low down here. In fact, one just crashed into a building not long ago, a banner plane. It wasn't going fast enough to keep the banner aerodynamically lifted or something, and it sort of caught on the top of the antenna of the high rise, and the plane went smack into the side of the building. Like someone bungee jumping off the side. It smashed into someone's apartment, killed the pilot, but didn't kill anyone in the apartment, into the apartment. But yeah, they were too low down, obviously. Certainly, probably was a beginner pilot anyway. So do we bother with plane fighter on this one? I don't think so, because there's too many inaccuracies here. We're probably just wasting our time. Would be good if we could just click a button and see what the closed station status was. Have we got anything like that yet? Have they added that
I
one?
don't think so.
Can't see any option there to see how it was closed. They reckon it's 500 feet, but how could you tell that was 500 feet from that photograph, you know? Where is it? Straight up here. Kind of doesn't look like 500 feet, but maybe it is. It's a bit hard to tell, you know? So if it went over the building, that means it was drifting downwards. Could it be a drone? Could it be an RC flying wing? You know, we've looked at those before. A white drone. What kind of drone is shaped like that though? Shaped like that. Looks more like a flying wing to me, but yeah. I'm open to ideas. Yeah, it looks like a bird. But you do now get drones that look like birds. Bird drone. I'll just show you some pictures. So you got to sort of throw out a few possibilities there and just hone in on it if you can. I bet it's not on plane finder or flight radar information. But I think we're just wasting our time looking there. Hopefully this stream will go on to 6 o'clock my time, but we'll see how we do for time. Bird drone, here it is, here. I'll just bring up some images of it. It actually flaps its wings as well. Remember this this one here? This is a bird drone. And that's the mechanical parts of it here.
That's so cool. Look at the accuracy.
Yeah. And if you saw that in the sky, it looks very similar to her one. So it could be, there you go. We got emanated gift of it. Robot bird. And it has a camera on it as well. But yeah, it could be like a heron that we see in the back end of it. A seagull is more likely though. Here's one, a pigeon color one. But I think it'll be something quite big, looking at that photograph. So it's these ones are like hand size. So I think it's going to be one of these bigger flying wings, you know. So I'll just bring it up. See, flying wing. They have the C, not F. Well, at least my keyboard's working again. That's a good thing. So here's some flying wing images. You can see they come in different colors. Silver. And they're quite pricey, about $100 US. Well, actually, that one's quite cheap. But they're quite big. They're big as a human. So we get a picture of a human. So yeah. So could it be a flying wing? It's possible. It's hard to tell if the wings are moved. See, that one there looks like it, you know. It's got that roundness to it. It's got a camera on top here, a little tiny one. It kind of looks like it could be something similar. A bit hard to tell because we ain't got the definition, but that's what I'm saying. So there's so much in the sky now, and if it's flying low, right, so it's got to be a bird. If it went over the roof, got out of sight off the roof, right, that means it's coming down, which is a bird normally landing on another building, or someone's flying the flying wing downwards to a park, maybe. There was a map she put up here Let's have a look. Is there any parks around where it is? What have we got here? It's right near the sea, so it could be on a beach. Right, it's on that little strip of land there. My voice is going. Looks like there's a few parks over this way. But she ain't done any analysis to it, so I sort of gave her I said, come on, Texas Jane, does it look like a disc as they claim? Did you put it through Plane Finder, Flight Radar 24 to see if you can find plane mentioned? Nope, too much work. I know, looking at images, clearly a white object. Looks like it's changing shape, looks like a gull, bird, or slash balloon. But I didn't have room to put slash RC wing. I ran out of space. That's what really annoys me about Twitter. Why they have limitation on the size? Because people are not using it on phones as SMS anymore. Everybody uses it with the app, don't they? They use it with the web part of it. Does anyone actually use text messages with Twitter anymore? I don't think so. I don't think so. So there's no reason to put a limit on the size of the text, which is stupid. Often you have to post 2 messages. That's the only thing that annoys me with Twitter, and also obviously the censorship side of things. So yeah, that's that one done, I think. But if anyone can work it out, or got better images from that same location, we'll update our findings. But to me, that's not a UFO, not an alien craft anyway. But she puts up everything as a UFO. She's like a female version of Secure Team, unfortunately. And she has let him use one of her submitted reports. Someone submits stuff to her that doesn't submit it to MUFON, and she puts it up. So Secure Team grabbed one of them one day. I think it was a rubbish bag or something. I think it was a solar balloon, if I remember right. So that sort of was deflated because the sun had gone down. It was slowly losing heat and coming down, drifting downwards. You know, rubbish bags and air current. So yeah. So I did put up other stuff here. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, the music that I was talking about. And I did post here live stream tomorrow at 3 p.m. Yeah, Secure Team's been deleting post, I think. Yeah, this guy was hassling Secure Team. I don't know if it'll come up or not. Let's have a look. Secure Team. Come on, Tyler. They're coaching you, aren't they? Meet with Corey Good. It doesn't make sense. Corey Good knows who I am. Ask him why he ran away from me. Yeah, well, we ain't going to say too much on this guy anyway, but he's talking about this thing in the window here being a reptilian driving a car. So I said to him, how do reptilians drive car with tails? Do they pull it off? So yeah. Not too sure what that is. It looks like someone threw mud on the windscreen, is it? I don't know.
It looks like it looks like a V smashed up against the window.
Yeah, I don't know what this is. It looks like someone in a Halloween mask to me. And a Jedi.
No, okay.
I can see the eyes here. Someone's wearing an alien mask. In a Jedi suit by looks of it. Not too sure what this guy's on, but anyway. And I can see Corey Good would be running for his life anyway, but we carry on.
Yeah, I think that's a V on the windshield. I really do.
Yeah.
The eyes match. we would.
Yeah, I forgot you're 30 seconds behind me talking. So.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So let's have a look at this one here. So someone's saying here he's got to stop you got to stop with these strange clouds and mystery doings. You're looking goofy. Someone said that to security. I said, goofy, is that the new nickname for a fake leaker video maker? Now, these people just don't know. But this is what happens here. I'm blocked by security. A small channel really scares the hell out of them. So just trying to find the other bits I did. So this is the other one, secure team. So we'll come back to that in a minute. So we need to watch this video first before we do those ones. And I've got something here on radar configurations. Oh, what's that noise? You got some boy racers. I heard that pretty well. So yeah, if we were talking about atomic blasts in India. Now I covered it before, and there was a couple of links I found. One was debunking ancient aliens claims and where they referenced their information from, and another one was Skeptoid, which I don't know if I've got it here or not. But this is something else added on to those lives I did, where they actually did some investigation into this business here. Vimana Sandra. I'm not sure how you say that. But it's basically a topic of Vimanas, or science of aeronautics, sometimes also rendered Vimanika. I'm not sure. There's an early 20th century Sanskrit text on aerospace technology that makes the claim that Vimanas mentioned in ancient Sanskrit epics were advanced aerodynamic flying vehicles. The existence of this text was revealed in 1952 by G.R. Josiah, who asserted that it was written by Patit Subaru Saba. I wonder how Google will handle it. Let's just see if it can pronounce it. Read aloud.
Pandit Subbaraya Shastri.
Pandit Subbaraya Shastri. You would have heard what it said anyway. Who dedicated it during the years, who dictated it during the years 1918 to 1923. Wasn't that World War I time? 1914, 18? A Hindu translation published in 1959, while the Sanskrit text with an English translation was published in 1973. It contains 3,000 shlokas in 8 chapters, which Sundri claimed was physically delivered to him by ancient Hindu sagas. Bharadvaja. How do we say that one?
Good question.
It's like reading Russian to me.
Bharadvaja.
Bharadvaja. The text was gaining favor among proponents of ancient astronaut theories. That's the Ancient Alien Guys on History Channel. A study by aeronautical and mechanical engineering researchers at the Indian Institute of Science, IIS, Bangalore, in 1974 concluded that the aircraft described in the text were poor concoctions and that the authors showed a complete lack of understanding of aeronautics regarding the Rumaka Vimana. The study noted that if the craft is taken to mean what the drawing and the text says, it could be stated that the craft is a decided impossibility. So obviously it wouldn't get off the ground. Obviously wait to rocket engines. You know, you saw the rocket engines. So let's see, we get some pictures up with these Vimanas. Let's see if it comes up with that. So we got some images here. So if you have a look at this thing here, it's sort of crazy design. There's a
I figured they had to be too good to be true.
So they got these temples here, right, based on the Vimanas. You can see here the little engines at the top here look like propeller blades, is it, on the edges to push it in directions. It's got little tiny engines underneath here, which haven't got any flames coming out of it. So did it actually go up without any flames? It's got little engines at the top here. Why would it need engines at the top as well? Does it go horizontal? Does it keep flying like that? To me, it looks like it lifts up here and the propellers push it which direction it wants to go. Right, so there. Right, so here's a picture here showing rocket intakes. It doesn't look like the rocket intakes look big enough. If you look at aircraft today, they're quite big engines. So it's sucking in air from the top and pushing it out the bottom. So if they were coming from space, why would they need air? See here, it's all propellers. It's all propellers. There's not really rocket engines at all. Can't see how it would possibly work. If it was anti-gravity, then you could say, yeah, but propellers on it. But the problem with this is, as I read out in previous lives, if you go back to the original writings, the very first Vimanas were actually flying chariots, but like your Roman chariots with horses on the front. Vimanas were, let's see if I can find it. So we're flying chariots. It doesn't sound like spaceships, or it doesn't sound like people with ancient technology. Because why would you have horses on the front flying around in the sky? Unless you wanted to be comical or, I don't know, colourful or something, you know. We're flying, I think we might even be able to find some pictures of, here we go. Flying chariots, here we go. So these are the early ones here. With like flying chariots with rocket engines on them, see? Looks like a wooden cart.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there'll be some more down here probably somewhere. Oh, that one's got wings on it. It's like a flying cart with wings. And this one looks like a big bird with a thing on the back. Kind of looks Egyptian in the head there, though, doesn't it? Which always brings me back. Could it have been ancient Egyptians with airships? I always keep going back to that because the slipstream passes right over India that I talk about in my documentary that I made. The theory fits, you know. They would have all these eagle heads and crazy god appendages to their headdress and all that sort of stuff. But they don't show any balloons here, though, which is kind of strange. But yeah, I suppose what might be is misinterpretation of what they saw, maybe. Can we rule it out completely? Probably not. But you can be skeptical of it. Like it might be just like a story, a folklore. That's sort of the culture liked, like the idea of it. This one's got elephants. I'm not sure what the elephants are doing there. So let's see, what else can we get here? So this is more ancient technology of the gods. This is more like what I was thinking of. Egyptians with airships with their little sailboats underneath. So if the airship actually got a puncture, they could still land anywhere on land or sea or rivers and not drown, you see. So it makes sense to have like a ship underneath the airship, a regular boat, I mean, so. Which fits in with the Hawaii descriptions of gods coming from the sky. And of course, Hawaii is part of where the slipstream is from South America. And in Middle America, it goes right around there, back to India, and then back around to Egypt. So yeah, go and check out my episode on it again. I keep plugging it. It's on Discord in the best episodes, I think. And I don't think you could debunk everything fully, but you can sort of debunk crazy ideas like temples with little jet engines on it lifting up. So this one here, slightly scared off the Australian. He's probably a believer. Indian. Indian versus Egyptian. Egyptian, I always can't think of how to spell it. E-G-Y, is it? E-Y, Egyptian. Always get it strange. Strange spelling.
Okay. Gotcha.
So I think it's all sort of linked, you know what I mean? Where this folklore, could there be some truth, you know? It's a bit like that one I did on blue people. Some stories there about people coming out of the sea. I think it's related to maybe the war paint on the faces, you know, the blue war paint from Africa. They used it on their as their part of their culture, and they reckon maybe a Viking boat capsized out to the sea, and some of these African slaves that they had captured with the blue paint on the face may have washed up on the shore, and that sort of made the story of fable of blue men coming from the sea, you know, because no one would have seen Africans before. There would have been like a strange new race of people. So yeah, I'm not sure if John's watched it or not, but they call it the Munch, I think it is. Munch, Scottish name. Not sure if I'm saying it right or not. Blue people. There's also green people as well. So even though I've used the blue men, this is the sort of paint that the Africans would have had on their face, but not latex. So these folklore stories are quite fascinating. Maybe some truth in it. Blue people. I tell you, there's so much to talk about today, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to fit it in. Maybe I can do a double stream. Maybe I can come back later on tonight even. See how we go. Blue people. And now we got also green people. Now this one is talking about kids that showed up from nowhere in UK. It's actually meant to be actual factual information, but their skin was yellow green in color. So they thought they were from the underground, you know, in the caverns, or from aliens or demons or whatever, you know. And they tell the story that they, in the folklore, that they were they got lost from an underground city and found their way onto the surface. I think that's just fabricated story added into the actual.
Sounds to me like people with hepatitis.
Yeah, I actually I talk about all the science of it in the episode, and talk about what foods you can eat all the time. Back in those days, they had limited food and starvation. And if you eat carrots, apparently it will make your skin go green, yellow. So it kind of fits the story. But go and check it out. It's interesting. Green people. But you can't rule out all these other weird other stories that's out there of time slips, green people. And also UFO abductions may have been happening back then. And they may have just got left behind. There could have been real green, yellow-skinned people that have been left behind after the UFO took off or crashed, maybe, or whatever. Who knows? Or it could be just a regular story, you know, with actual science to it. I think also if you take these silver pills, you know, this actual. If you take too much silver in your diet, your skin goes blue. I think it's blue, not green. I think it's in one of the episodes anyway. I show actual real life case in one of the episodes anyway, saying this actually there are actually real blue people. I think it was the blue people because I said blue people are real. There's people in America that actually have blue skin, and it's not from tattoo ink or anything like that. It's actually from their diet. It does change the pigmentation of your skin. So yeah. I'm not sure if you watched those ones at all, John. Did you? I did recommend.
No,
I did recommend them to you. I'm pretty sure you must have watched something of it. Maybe you watched part of it and fell asleep. I don't know. But they're only like 14, 15-minute episodes there. But yeah, that sort of brings us from this Indian idea of flying chariots. So let's see if we can find some more of these. Here you go. So that was ancient flying machines. You know, it's got horses on the front. Let's see if we can bring that one up. So to me, why did it go from flying chariots to suddenly flying buildings like this one here? Flying temples. Something doesn't fit, does it? And of course, it went from that to rocket engines to brick ones through the stories. Let's see, we can probably bring it up on that webpage actually. I'll post a link to that one because it looks like it's got some interesting. I wonder if it's a skeptic. Is it a skeptic here? Ancient abductions. Here is all the different pictures. Crop circles. It's got Hitch channel on it. So what's this guy saying? So here's the building ones suddenly coming up. But there was also a fake story put out on a UFO channel saying some UFO US Marines or troops in Afghanistan had come across a cave where they found one of these Vimanas in it. It was actually a pilot or some clip from a movie being made where the troops would come across a cavern and found it in there. And people were using it on their fake channels to say this is real. They found a Vimana. It sounds like banana, doesn't it? Vimana in this cave system. So there's that page there with all the drawings on. It's quite interesting just having a look at the drawings. I like art. I like some of the art that they've done there. But what's interesting too is the atomic bomb, nuclear war that happened with these, I guess, flying machines in the sky. I suppose it comes back to this same story. Is been debunked as well, which I talk about on a live stream previously, which talked about half-lives. You know, as you know, people live quite happily now in Japan because after the nuclear bombs that were dropped, because after 20 years, I think it was safe after 20 years that it was back to normal background radiation after 20 years. So all the defects, birth defects and all that happen in that first 20 years, of course. So if you have a look at those pictures of those cities, what were the two city names? Nagasaki or whatever it's called?
Yeah, Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Yeah, those two cities, if you have a look at them, they're flourishing. They're very busy. They got living on each other. They got high rises. They're big businesses. So then, obviously, they're not scared that the bomb was dropped there back in the 1940s. Now, if there was a big nuclear war that happened and all this radiation was all over that territory, then it would have been like a desert land for a very long time, and by now you wouldn't be able to know whether there was a nuclear war that happened in that location, because the radiation would be back to normal background radiation levels. But apparently there was some information that's sort of come to light on that Rational page there that I was reading. Let's see, where was it? Not that one. I think it was this one. He talks about here the nuclear thing. I think it was on this one. Hang on, it might not be that one. Let's find the right page. So it was on this one here. So if we go back to here, it talks about this city. Mud brick buildings down here. One difficulty with the nuclear blast claim at... well, actually, I should probably read out the header. How do we say that? My voice is going for some reason. I need to have a sip of a drink while this is reading out.
The woo is out there. Ufology aliens did it. Dulce base George Van Tassel Giorgio Sao Kalos John Hein Erman overlords of the UFO ST10 incident, and ran away Dogon people Mike Barra out of place artifact theory race map to Wanakuzina v. T. Fiction over fact pseudo history how it didn't happen fake lore goddess movement hyperdiffusionism Institute for Historical Review Jonah Goldberg has our myth Kitty Workman lesbian gang epidemic Philadelphia experiment psychohistory Tony O'Connell Benedict Curie v. T. Mohenjo-Daro.
Let's see. Did I hear lesbian mentioned there, or was it misreading? Whereabouts did it read that from? Mike Barra. I'm not sure if I heard him mentioned there. Oh yeah, lesbian. There you go. Lesbian gang epidemic. What's that under? How did it happen? Fiction over fact, pseudo history, fake lore, godness movement. Oh, they're different subcategories, is it? Philadelphia experiment. I thought I heard lesbian. Anyway, hope that doesn't get us a strike. Anyway, I was trying to read out this one here, and it highlights this side when I highlight it. That's just crazy. Go backwards, maybe. Right. I think it's got it this time.
Mohenjo-Daro.
Mohenjo-Daro. I'm not sure that sounds right either. Is it? Mohenjo-Daro. Yeah. Well, there you go. Whatever the computer said. Is an archaeological site of one of the largest Indus Valley civilizations that thrived around 2000 BC. Pseudo-historians, not scientists, and proponents of ancient advanced civilization or extraterrestrial visitations claim that there is evidence that its population was killed off by a big atomic explosion around 1500 BC. The what's that word there? Pro-offered evidence is rife with pseudoscience, and so unsurprisingly, it has been featured prominently on the History Channel. Ancient aliens. So here we go. So here's the problems. One difficulty with the nuclear blast claim at Mohenjo-Daro is immediately apparent when photographs of the dig site are revealed. So this is what they've dug up so far. Obviously, a lot of soil on top of it, or sand, or whatever. Looks quite interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah, good architecture.
Very interesting.
Foundations.
Yeah. So the buildings were made with kiln-fired mud bricks. Well, it looks like it lasted a while. Some of the walls are still 15 feet high. So can we see that in the photograph? I guess that could be 15 feet from bottom to top.
Yeah, just look at the steps, risers.
Yeah, I'd say that they'd be like half a foot each, is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that's probably 8 feet. Well, who knows? But yeah. So how a unreinforced mud brick wall withstands a nuclear blast never seems to be addressed. So there's a point in question. So if there was nuclear bombs dropping down, the blast, even if it's in the sky, right, would come downwards, would sort of pulverize any of the walls there, and it would come downwards from air explosions rather than ones that are dropped. I don't think atomic bombs actually land on the ground. They actually are detonated in the air. Let's just have a look. Need to be a nucleus. Yeah. What? I don't know. What should we type in? What height nuclear bombs detonated at?
That's about right.
Because maybe it wasn't. What you could say though is it wasn't actually nuclear. What you could say, it was some fusion blast, which doesn't cause radiation, right? But can you get a fusion blast? So I suppose if it's the power of the sun. So I'm surprised that people haven't modified the story, so it gets around these errors. So the story stays alive, you see, because it's like a folklore. What height do atomic? See, I'm not trying to be a buzzkill. A lot of people believe in this sort of stuff. I just want to sort of make you critical think. Well, the science of it does sort of put doubt on it all. And when you go back and when I cover the other bits on this Indian stuff, you'll see it throws even more doubt on the original stories. So what height do atomic bombs detonate?
Oh, I got one.
Detonate. Is that how we spell it? Okay. So you found some information already? The bomb that went off above Hiroshima 67 years ago, is that really that long ago? Was set off at 600 meters above the ground. So if that was set up 600 meters, that was sort of level buildings, wouldn't it? So let's see, how many buildings would be standing after that then? So we need to see Hiroshima after nuclear bomb blast. I think most of the buildings would be leveled. Well, you'd have damage, wouldn't you? You'd have signs that something happened, and that thing that's being unearthed there looks like it's pretty intact. It's just that it's got abandoned, and nature's tried to reclaim it by filling it in with dirt and sand again. Bomb city pictures. Maybe I have to type city pictures. So here we go. We got some images coming up. I think it would show. These are reinforced buildings. Remember, it's pretty much leveled, apart from anything that's reinforced, which means rebar, which is iron in the core of the bricks. So look, just leveled, bang, blast coming down from above. Desert land, look.
Pretty devastated.
And if, like I said, if we look at it today, it's just a busy hub there. I know we're sort of scared off people on talking about this stuff, but people just don't understand how my channel works still. But see today.
But I keep watching the sign in Discord.
That's right. People probably think I'm at 9 o'clock tonight, probably still. So this is the city nowadays. So you can see it's a big, big city. No one's worried about any radiation anymore. Big place. Massive, look at that. 25 shocking facts about Hiroshima. So maybe we should have a look at the facts then. Wow, look at all the power they're using there. That's like Vegas. And that's why they got to have nuclear power plants to power it all. And that's why they can do factories. In New Zealand, we're going to be like they were trying to make my city a Silicon Valley here because there's a lot of clever people setting up businesses in New Zealand, but they couldn't produce the stuff here. Instead, they have to produce it in China because we haven't got enough power to power up all these factories that they want to create jobs for people in Silicon Valley sort of thing. But also, we got a smelter down the bottom of the South Island, and pretty much, I think it takes half the power from the hydro dam just to run it, because it uses electricity to as it furnaces to melt the ore from it.
Sure.
25 facts. Okay. In the decades following Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombing, the survivors have become one of the longest studied groups in health research. The American-Japanese partnership called the Radiation Effects Research Foundation has studied about 94,000 survivors of bombings. Orlando is now the official flower city. On the day of the nuclear attack, the population of Nagasaki was estimated to be 260,000. Today, Nagasaki is a home to almost 500,000 people. Yep, there we go. Oh, look at that nice colourful tree situation there. Greens, yellows, oranges. 6 ginkgo trees. Oh, that's a tea you drink, isn't it? I like that. I like that kind of tea. I always found it soothing on the stomach. Located just about a mile from the bomb site, surrendered extreme damage in the blast. Surprisingly, they all survived, and new buds soon emerged from their burnt trunks. So these used to be sticks. Looks like they're sort of flourishing now. So yeah, there's probably a lot more there to go through. I suppose you've been to Japan, have you, John?
No.
No?
No, I have not.
Okay. We had some Japanese homestays. So we get to see them now and again when they visit New Zealand, but they went back home. Very quiet people, very polite. But when they come over to New Zealand, all they want to do is go surfing on the surf out here and skiing and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So back to India again. Where do we get to? We're reading that page here about the mud houses. So yeah, looking at that, it doesn't look like Hiroshima after atomic blast. So whatever, if it was blast, it certainly wasn't nuclear. The primary evidence cited in support of the atomic bomb explosion at Mohenjo-Daro is the discovery of a series of bodies throughout the cities. The presence, it is argued, suggests a single cataclysmic event. Now, there was another article I read that said they tried to track down the person that wrote the article about the radiation bodies, and as far as they could tell, it was a fictitious name of the scientist. So whether this has been updated, this one kind of suggests that they did actually find evidence. So maybe his information was wrong. When excavation of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro reached the street level, they discovered skeletons scattered about the cities, many holding hands and sprawling in the streets. Now that sounds a bit like when a volcano goes off and they get gassed by CO2 and they all simply just die. As some instant horrible doom had killed its inhabitants, people were just lying unburied in the streets of the city. There seemed no one able to bury them afterwards. The actual evidence, however, is far different, more subtle and more interesting. The bodies were discovered during excavations during 1922 and 1931. So what time did they say? Okay. Scholars have criticized the approach used during the dig period and have stated that the poor methodology makes interpretation difficult. However, even though some of the original excavations interpreted the evidence in a way that suggests the bodies were linked by a single catastrophic event, they look the view that the catastrophic was a war and not a nuclear explosion. A total of 37 bodies were found. So imagine if you had a, let's say, it doesn't rule out being a big comet coming down, a big comet like that one over Russia where it explodes and it sort of shoots down a blast downwards, which may have knocked people out, killing them, from the what you call a compression wave. As you know, a compression wave will kill you if you're too close to it. So could there be something more to the story? How did they get killed? So could it have been a meteorite that come down and exploded, which would be described as a big explosion, like a nuclear explosion, and maybe created a shock wave and knocked them out? So there's lots of thing here. Compression wave. Wave. The thing's still recording all right. I haven't checked on it recently. Are you still watching on YouTube all right? Compression wave. So what it does? How does 200 dB of sound kill you? Death by sound. Pressure. Is a bomb shockwave strong enough to kill? And as you know, it definitely can kill you.
Oh yeah.
Before the fragments or fire gets to you. So I'm watching a movie, The Hurt Locker. Oh, there was a lot of publicity on that, wasn't it? Being pirated and all that. Was the first scene shows a IRD explosion which kills a soldier. Of course, movies don't depict explosions with maximum realism. So what does it say here? Shrapnel isn't all that visible. You'll mostly only see it when it actually hits you, or a wall or something. Mythbusters once tested this underwater. Water propagates the shockwave better than air, and you can be killed by a bomb more easily at a much bigger range inside water than outside of it. Okay. In a lot of movies, they show the opposite. So movies are not always accurate. You know, you dive in water and the bomb goes off, you should be all right.
Yeah.
Blast can definitely kill you, although it's only lethal at much shorter ranges, which is basically what I said. So it's depends how big it is and how close you are. A bit like an earthquake in a way, I guess. Compared to shrapnel, a building can be destroyed by 5 psi over pressure, while a human can withstand up to 45 psi and live. So there you go. Some interesting stats there. Threshold for living danger occurs at 15 excuse me, psi blast over pressure. 35 to 45 psi overpressure may cause 1% fatalities, and 55 to 65 psi overpressure may cause 99% fatalities. Blah. Okay. My tongue's swelling up a wee bit, unfortunately. So, yeah. So what does PSI mean? This is the next question. Pounds per square inch, is it? PSI. PSI or initials PSI. No, it's not right. Pounds per square inch. Or pounds per square inch. So it's talking about 65 pounds on an inch of body. Is that what they're talking about? Doesn't sound much. How does it relate to energy? Being hit by energy pretty much, you know. Yeah. So what do they say here? Pressure gauge. PSI 500. Is a unit pressure or stress based on, well, look at that word. Avoid dubious units. Avoid dubious units. Celsius. I don't know how you say that.
Edward Du Bois.
Edward Du Bois. Edward Du Bois. Sounds almost Russian.
I
have to say your audio sounds a lot better with the new setup, with the new mixer. You haven't cut out at all since you adjusted something yesterday, so hopefully you're recording though. Until we play it back, we won't know. Anyway, we can get into the science more another time probably. Let's carry on with that article. Where did we get to? It's on here, wasn't it? So, total of 37 bodies were found. Doesn't sound much for a big city, does it? Although some were found at the same parts of the city, the distribution suggests that many came from different time periods. All right, so that changes it completely as well, doesn't it? So they didn't all instantly die at the same time. Could they have just been buried in a pit there after a mass killing or something? Mohenjo-Daro had 3 major periods.
Maybe there was a mass plague or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Early, intimate, and late 3 periods, whatever that means. Some of the bodies were clearly early periods, and some clearly late. The 2 periods are 1,000 or more years apart. Another key point highlighted from the quote above: they were found laying in the middle of the street. Was actually actually caused by the fact the bodies were buried during the later period when the existing buildings had been built over earlier periods. The bodies were buried above a road from a period hundreds of years earlier. There you go, reconstruction. So that sort of blows the atomic blast business out of the water there, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And they're talking about it being a flourishing city hundreds of years later. So, yeah, I'm not sure how the half-life works there, but some expert reckons it didn't sort of work out. He reckons it still would have been toxic to live there. In the other article I read out anyway, which I haven't got it handy here. But it's still fascinating stuff. I kind of like this kind of stuff, you know, and I'm not sure if you are interested out there or not. But it does sort of blow ancient aliens guys' theories out of the water here, but which they don't mention all these different facts that sort of come to light. So here we go, radioactivity. I haven't read this, but so let's see what it says. Beyond the bodies themselves, pseudo-historians make it a series of claims about radioactivity levels in the area. The claims range from radioactive dust covering the whole city to bodies themselves being among the most radioactive ever found, on par with those at Hiroshima, blah, blah, blah. And the problem with these claims is that they are so vaguely sourced, it's impossible to find out the original claims to verify. So obviously the information has been lost if it was there. Verification, what's that mean? Verification?
I believe it's melting of sand.
Ah, right, yes.
Vitrification.
One common claim is the sand around the city had been vitrified, similar to the Trinity site in New Mexico. What's the Trinity site in New Mexico? Is that where they did the atomic bomb test, was it? You cut out then, John?
With the sand glass.
Yeah. However, what was actually found was the dumping gherkin pots that were often made by vitrifying sand in a kiln. So that one's busted. So what really happened? Though the Indus Valley civilization may not have deployed nuclear weapons, it's arguably that in other ways they were the most advanced civilization of their day by far. For example, we don't really have any evidence that the Indus built pyramids or ziggurats, or I suppose that says pyramids that look like Vimanas, I guess, like the Computeri Egyptians or Mesopotamians. Yeah, I was just trying to get my head around that word. You hear it, but when you see it written down, it's different. So, need to find out what that one was there. I think it's those temples, isn't it?
What, the ziggurats?
Let's just have a look.
Yeah, think about 6 temples.
Yeah, let's see if we can get a picture of one. Here we go.
They're kind of weird, tall, spirally, or
There we go.
yeah, spirally things.
Don't know.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's what they look like, I guess.
Well, I'm totally incorrect.
That's where we look up things. Okay, so back to that story. Archaeologists have found no definite Indus Valley civilization temples. Rather, the Indus people built and invented things like covered sewers, which sounds like Romans, and flush toilets. Hierarchy grid planned cities were paved roads, effectively universal access to water. So that sounds very Roman. So, you know, Romans conquered a lot of places. Makes you wonder if they found the technology there and took it for themselves. So this was in India. So maybe the Indians were the most advanced civilization back then. That sort of changes the history a bit, doesn't it?
It's been around a long time.
Yeah. So though the Indus people had arms, they mostly used them for defense against raiders. And no conclusive evidence of military aggression has been shown for the Indus Valley civilization, which thus appears to have achieved one of the longest periods of peace. There you go. It's quite interesting. So I didn't know any of that. Did you know any of that we just went through there quickly?
No, I did that.
Mm-hmm. There we go. So we can close that one down. So the nuclear war pretty much debunked there, and these flying chariots with horses to what we now know as flying temples with jet engines. There's clearly been what do you call it? Not fabricated. Well, I suppose it is sort of fabricated. It's been what's the word I'm looking for? It's been improved over the years, probably, to make it sound more interesting. Not embossed.
Yeah, embellished.
Embellished, that's the word. I just couldn't get it out of the brain there. Embellished, that's it. What's embellished mean? What is the definition for that? Embellished.
To add to.
I'm not sure if I typed that in right. Nope. Got some of the letters. Embellished. Or maybe it's embellish. Here we go. Make something more attractive by addition or decorative details or features. Well, that sounds like it. Decorative details. So they went from flying chariots to flying temples, like man crossing its legs. You know, that's where the flying carpets probably come from too, wasn't it? Flying carpets.
Oh, I thought those were so cool.
Yeah, I like the flying carpets. I've seen those on the early movies, right? What was that one? Sinbad, was it?
Oh, yeah. Sinbad. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if they have it today. They probably have in cartoons. Flying carpets.
That was good stuff.
But where's it come from? Because it sounds very much like these Indian things, you know? Magic carpet. Yeah. Oh, right, they call it magic carpet. Also, that one, so. Viktor Vansnetov sounds Russian. Fantasy magical carpet. 1,000 Nights. Prince of Hussein. So it's Middle Eastern, which is very close to India, isn't it? I just wonder how much of it's related to what we've just been reading out, you know. Well, imagine if we had flying carpets. It's possible, if we could work out anti-gravity, you could certainly have a flying platform, and that one from Back to the Future where he's got a skateboard, a hoverboard. Did you know they actually got hoverboards now? They actually got some working prototypes, but it uses like jet engines underneath. Might get sidetracked on that. Oh, here we go. India is mentioned here, so there you go. The eldest son or Sultan of the Indies travels to Vimana. There's that flying machine type name there again, is it? In India, and buys a magic carpet. So it does come from India. There you go. I thought it was related. Interesting stuff. So, yeah, you've seen these flying hoverboards. Not sure if you can find pictures of it. There's various ones that you can buy. And there's also that one called the Flyboard, was it? With the guy jet. Well, it was like a flying platform. Here it is here. Flying hoverboard. This is actually a real thing. And you wear a backpack that's actually got the fuel that goes to the jet engines underneath, 4 jet engines. And you just rock yourself back and forth on it. But I probably want a... what happens if the engine cut out, though? If you're that high up, you're going to get injured. You want a parachute as well, But you see this guy only... Yeah, the guy's done some videos where he's flying it around a valley here. And he overtakes a Ferrari, I think it is, on it. Going around the curvy road. There was some... Yeah, I've seen a new video of it. But normally this guy flew it over water. So if the engine cut out, at least it's not going to be so killer. He didn't go too high either. He went high enough that if it turned out, they would crash into the water, and he still, as the water impact wouldn't kill him without a parachute. So these are never going to be approved for commercial use or by anyone to buy it. Could you imagine kids flying around your street in those?
Thank God.
But there are some other ones here. Let's see. Top 5 hoverboards. Kinetic Tech. I wonder if it's copyrighted or whether we can play it. Let's have a look, shall we? I'll just make it different speed, maybe. Maybe I'll post it on the side as well. Just make it faster.
Hello viewers, welcome to our channel. Who doesn't love the next level stuff? Who haven't dreamed about flying?
Why did it automatically start playing? I'll just make it a wee bit faster again. So what is this channel anyway? Kinetic Tech. There's a lot of posts there and no comments. Hoverboards. It looks kind of different with the black background now. Real. Can't spell it right. E key. I key, come on. There we go. So let's have a quick look at this one.
With new forms of transportation popping up around the world almost every day, we decided to publish a collection of awesome hoverboard and flyboard technologies. So sit back and watch the video till the end. In South Korea, these trains use magnets to create lift and thrust, and can travel at blistering paces because there is no friction.
So that's like
between the train's wheels and axles and the rails.
So that's mag lift one. What we got here?
Instead, it hovers freely on top of a surface plated in copper. Copper is what's known as
Yeah, that's still the same one. So let's just skim through it here.
every person will be able to fly anytime, anywhere. The world, your world, will change forever. The Arc aboard is a machine lifted by 36 high-power electric ducted fans with a maximum thrust of 430 pounds. It has a built-in stabilization unit, meaning that Arc aboard is stable in any condition and is a very safe platform to fly on. You will be able to utilize your phone for control and navigation of the vehicle itself. But for the most intense experience, you can turn off the stabilization system and steer the Arc aboard with your body. Excellence in simplicity. Designing a shape for a revolutionary vehicle is no simple task. How did the 272 horsepower is put inside a vehicle slightly larger than a skateboard? The answer is...
I wonder how loud it is with all those engines on it, though.
Is with very great care. The electric ducted fans, together with the controllers and the batteries, they occupy 90% of the space inside the board. This generates a significant amount of heat that is dissipated using a high-performance cooling system.
Well, it's saying it generates a lot of heat because of the batteries and the fans. High performance cooling.
By using 36 power fans, it ensures that even in the case of multiple motor failures, there are enough motors remaining to take over, so you keep on riding. Quick and without any strings attached. The off-the-box charger will allow us to recharge the Arc aboard in 6 hours. However, the Arc dock accessory will bring the onboard batteries to full capacity in 1 hour, faster than it takes to charge your smartphone or tablet without having to bother with cable.
Yeah, we got another one here.
From assembling maglev technology into a board, to finding the right combination of superconductors, magnets and liquid nitrogen, every step pushed the team to stretch the possibilities of technology.
So that was what I was talking about the other time, about ceramics and freezing it, and that they lift up on top of magnets. That means you'd have to have a place in the playground which has got the magnets underneath or something, and cool the board off with some sort of I don't know. Normally you'd have to use liquid nitrogen, so it might have a little cylinder of gas, I guess, and cools it right down so it lifts up.
I can see so many lawsuits. Oh God.
Yeah. In America.
Yeah. Just liquid nitrogen pieces break out, spill on somebody, especially a kid.
The hoverboard is constructed from an insulated core containing high-temperature superconducting blocks. These are housed in cryostats, reservoirs of liquid nitrogen that cool the superconductors to 197 degrees Celsius. The board is then placed above a track containing permanent magnets.
Looks like a lot of fun, though, doesn't it?
When the board is cooled to its operating temperature, the track's magnetic flux lines are pinned into place, maintaining hover height of the board. Liquid nitrogen-filled cryostat inlaid with superconducting blocks. It took months of testing to transform maglev technology into a refined tracking board.
I kind of like the fan one. The fan one's better to me because at least you could stick a jet engine back on your back and zoom along the ground without having to have a special track underneath. So what else we got here? I think most of them require a track underneath. And this one here is the best one, but it's probably the most dangerous.
5 to 10 minutes. It achieved a Guinness World Record for farthest flight by hoverboard in April 2016 of 2,252.4 meters. Zapata Racing claims that it allows flight up to an altitude of 10,000 feet and has a top speed of 93 miles per hour.
That's amazing. Imagine going up to 10,000 feet on that. You definitely want a parachute, just in case the engine fails.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not going to play for us now. He's got to have a fair height
flyboard
there,
rider
though.
stands on a board connected by a long hose to a watercraft. Water is forced under pressure to a pair of boots with jet nozzles underneath, which provide thrust for the rider to fly up to 49 feet in the air or to dive headlong through the water down to 8 feet. Now the last one in the list is air wheel. Fuzzy software algorithm and gyroscope system to maintain balance by leaning forward and backward. Riders can control the scooter to go forward, accelerate, decelerate, brake, etc. by leaning forward or backward. Similar to the techniques of riding a bicycle, riders achieve balance via slightly tilting sideways. Air wheel is internally architectured to be as space-saving as possible for the large capacity battery. Mounted.
Actually, that's quite a good idea. You could see Google people flying around the corridors with those on. Anyway, the link's in the thing if you want to watch it properly. I'm not sure what other stuff they got there. But yeah, the flyboard, there's a good one where he takes off a car. I'm not sure where it is though. Flyboard. I've seen it on Twitter or somewhere like that. I think I posted it around flyboard. Now, remember UFO Proof said it was all fake and it was done with CGI or something. Yeah, people weren't so sure, you know. It kind of looks real. Where the water was splashing up. But it, obviously, what was suspicious was the way it was edited.
Yep.
Flyboard car race. I think it was on Il's Facebook, actually. He posted it around. Oh, is that the one? Oh, here it is. Takes on a car, a race car. Is it playing faster? Yep. Don't want to get hit by badness. Oh, don't want to get crazy music. There he is. So what kind of race car is it? Does it tell us down the bottom here? So he's not flying it. He's not flying it over water this time. This one. I'll post it down the side there. The flyboard is real.
Vector? I don't know. There's somebody up there.
I think he beats it, doesn't he? Or does the car just beat him at the end? Because the car's got to use the road. He can just fly around in a straight path, you see.
Exactly. What kind of the Jesus.
That always reminds me of Lost in Space, where they had the little fly packs, booster packs on the backs, and they would fly around the terrain, just check it out. Remember that in Lost in Space?
Oh, yeah. I love space. Yeah,
Mr. Robertson, Mr. Robertson. And that's a different one there, where they're using water to shoot upwards. That's totally different.
Right.
But that looks like a lot of fun, crazy fun. But this one is definitely not using water. So what did they say down here in information? Flyboard air to make the project happen. Jet engine strapped to the feet. 103 miles per hour in 8,000? What's that mean? 8K.
Lamborghini.
Yep, you're correct. Well, that's quite an interesting video there they put out anyway. Time's flying on. So I think we're finished here, were we? Let's see. I should post that link there. I thought I was going to close it. So back to Indian nukes. Now, Il was saying that he's heard it from Indians told to him, and that it's definitely correct. But reading that, it doesn't sound like so to me.
Yeah, he was fighting pretty hard. Right?
Yeah, he wanted it to be real, didn't he? Yeah. But like I said, there could be some truth in it. It's just got embellished over the years. So what's interesting is this stuff that's come out here. So the Indian Institute for Science Research debunked long ago myth of ancient flying craft. So this article here, a former pilot has now added an ancient Indian twist to the tale, claiming that almost 6,000 years ago, the art of flying was known to Indian sage. Was that his name? Sages? And an Indian actually made a plane using the knowledge and flew with it 2 decades before the Wright brothers. Captain J. Budas had made such wild assertions in the past, but this time the retired pilot spoke at one of the sessions of the 112th edition of Indian Science Congress in Mumbai University, triggering the controversy. The session where he spoke was titled "The Speakers Were Selected by Committee." Study of ancient knowledge is a legit subject. There are scientific researches on the validity of yoga and ancient mathematical knowledge. But when one talks about aviation, a suspicion about the motive arises, said the scientist who extensively studied ancient Indian texts. So how can we shorten this down? The Sanskrit verses, which are the starting point of the ancient Indian flying story, was printed in 2 books named Brihad. Here we go. The Brihad Vimanas, Sanstra. I think we talked about that before, and the Vimanaka Santra, published half a century ago. Both contain these verses. 4 decades ago, 4 young scientists at the Indian Institute of Science decided to check the vintage and veracity of the claims in the Sanskrit verses. They traced the authorship to Pandit Sabharwal Shastra, who lived in and died in 1941. Texts were written between 1900 and 1922. It appears that Sastra was supposedly endowed with certain mystical powers and used to spell out verses whenever he got inspiration. These verses used to be promptly taken by one of his aides, Sharma. The scientist had observed in 1974 research paper. Subsequently, a manuscript was made and copies were prepared, which found their ways to the 2 titles. So it goes on a bit here, but it talks about here, one of the materials used to fill the Sundara Vimana is donkey urine. While Panchanrita, honey, sugar, milk, yogurt, and what's that one? Ghee is the key component to make the Shakuma Vimana in we need what's his name to read all this out, because he's good at it. What's that guy in Ancient Aliens? What's his name? Giorgio. Banana something called a milk cloth, which used, and Rakma Vimana is a is a decided impossibility. So yeah, running stuff on donkey urine and milk, I don't think so somehow. So that sort of breaks down there in the script too. So where was the nuclear power and all that mentioned? I see there must be more to the story. I'm not sure how it all fits together. Where's the atomic bombs come into play? Because you'd think that'd be like the fuel source. It would be fusion power or something, you know. The Texan drawings that IISC team found do not correlate with each other, even what's that word? Thematically. The drawings definitely point to a knowledge of modern machinery. This occurred possibly because of Ilepa, who was in a local engineering college and was familiar with names and details of some of the machinery. So we're talking about these people in 1900, right? So back then we knew about humans having engineering skills. So it looks like they've added it into the story of the drawings here. Thematically. So what's thematically mean? I think that probably what it means, is it?
Well, thematically, it means it goes together with the drawings. It fits the theme of what they were trying to embellish.
Well, right, so it's come up here. Here's the first thing. Would you believe it's only come up in that? Oh, right. Looks like it's added some rubbish on the end. Let's try that now. There we go, that's better. In a way that relates to the subjects or themes of something.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like a connection. It's just a nice word. So let's get down to it. The drawings ought to be ruled out of discussions, and the text is incomplete and ambiguous by itself and incorrect at many places. So wasn't Earl saying that it had been passed down from generations and everyone was so sure on the text and all that sort of stuff in that last life? That's the impression I got from Earl anyway.
Oh yeah.
So to me, it looks like the Indian people that he knows, maybe are the scientists, I don't know, really believe in it. The text scholars text set to what's all that mean? And its language is simple, quite simple and modern, since number of words with a structure similar to those of Vedic Sanskrit is very few, and their usage is incidental and appears appropriate to conclude that the Sanskrit used in the text is modern.
Yeah, that's modern.
So that means it's what made up, or what? The text
means it was written in the modern vernacular, say the early 1900s.
Yeah, yeah. So it wasn't actually going back centuries or thousands of years or whatever it's meant to be.
Right.
Is that what they're saying here? I'm just trying to get my head around it all.
Yeah. That being in the ancients in the modern Sanskrit vernacular. So
anyone that's better at reading Indian names, I'll put it down here. What was it called? Debunked. Something debunked anyway. Ancient alien, Indian, not alien. I wonder if it'll be updated on the ancient aliens. Oh, what we talked about in the last season is all wrong. Debunk of flying machines. I think there's a lot more to this one though. But if you read the next one, which I've got here, Scientists met, didn't hear. Didn't hear. What's that mean? Science met, didn't hear. Science meet, didn't hear. Science meet, didn't hear. I think they mean meeting, don't they?
They didn't hear, but they didn't hear that 40 years the whatever ISC debunked flying.
Yeah, but it's on the Indian press here website. I think the English is slightly wrong here, though. 40 years ago, IICS debunked flying planes. What's it say here? They also found that Vimana Sastra was based on a figment of imagination of a man who lived in the 20th century. So that's what they're talking about, that modern Sanskrit stuff.
Yeah, modern vernacular, right.
So, how long is this one? I don't think it's too long. I'll post a link to it anyway. We really need to get on. Move on to topics. It's a big topic in itself, I guess. This one, science. I'll just call it more. Despite no one's watching us, of course, but it doesn't matter. I think people watch it offline, maybe. I did do this time, but people are not sure that the time's been changed. So what else did it say here? So we can skim it. What was not mentioned, however, was that exactly 40 years ago, a group of 5 young Indian scientists from aeronautical engineering and mechanical engineering departments of the Indian Institute of Science had debunked such claims after conducting a thorough study. So what was this one? So this pilot claimed that the aircraft technology existed in India thousands of years ago, and they debunked it all, pretty much, saying that the books were fairly modern and the science of it didn't work. And that's the Vimanas, isn't it? So what we're talking about, flying machines. And we saw some of those there, the chariots, and we had the building ones, and we had like the flying bed, I suppose. It looked like a flying bed where they got their legs crossed on it. And there's the one that had the flapping wings as well. They looked like a big in the sky. None of the technology documented in the Vimana Sastra would allow an object to fly. They also found that Sastra was based on a figment of imagination. In the paper, critical study of work of Vimana Sastra, published in a journal Science Opinion in 1974, and loads of names there. The planes described are at best poor concoctions rather than expressions of something real. None of the planes have properties or capabilities of being flown. The geometries are unimaginable, horrendous from the point of view of flying, and the principles of propulsion make the rest rather than make them resist rather than assist flying. The propulsion systems actually resist flying. How about that? So they had propellers on it, on one of them. Following future attempts to establish the Vedic origins of the claims. So this is Indian scientists debunking their own Indian history. So that's quite interesting. It's not like Western technology debunking Indian stuff. So they had to do it themselves, I guess. The scientists found the book was in fact brought into existence sometime between 1900 and 1922. Interpreter of Sanskrit, whose work was documented by the aide before his death in 1944. The work, according to the paper, was discovered in 1951, founder of the International Academy of Sanskrit Research. Well, science of aeronautics requires understanding of aerodynamics, aeronautical structures, propulsive devices, materials, and metallurgy. The Vimana Shastra paid little or no emphasis on aerodynamics, said the ISCSC paper. It's worth pointing out that the history of aerodynamics Western in regard to production of heavier-than-air aircraft is studied with initial failures significantly traceable to non-understanding of aerodynamics, it said. That's pretty damning, I think. What we feel unfortunate is that some people tend to, what's that word there? Elogies and glorify whatever they can find about our past, even without valid evidence. In the absence of any evidence, efforts will be made to produce part of the evidence in favor of integrity, scientists noted. So there's the embellishment bit thrown in there. Anyone who talks about these things has the responsibility to prove things as well, at least on the small scale. Professor Mohenjo-Daro told the Indian press, if you see the drawings presented with the vid papers, it is, what's that word? Gross. Not sure what that means. Too many words, too many words here.
Grotesque.
Oh, grotesque. Is that how it's spelled? Grotesque. Paper is grotesque. Which means what? Disgusting? What's that word mean?
Grotesque, yeah, disgusting.
Disgusting would be a certain word that you use. Which is nonsense. We went out the way to find some substance for it at that time. We put in enormous effort. We have not stated that in the paper, but we went to great extent to find the origin of the book, he said. So there you go. I don't know where we are going by glorifying the past. It makes sense if the ancient knowledge is put to use, not otherwise. In a way, I regret doing all the work to write the paper. Ultimately, it seems to have no meaning. Look, if my father was an outstanding man and I'm ordinary, what can I do by carrying on about what's a great man my father was? What purpose is served by going on about that? So yeah.
Okay.
So he's saying simply keep retelling the story with that's made up. It's not helping anybody. Pretty much is what he's saying there, isn't it? Did I post that one? I didn't know. Yeah. So that's my bit on the Indian stuff anyway. If people want to bring it up again, we can bring it up again. I wish I could read it better though. Unfortunately, I can't. No good at that. So it talks about it here too. And here's another picture of another flying machine. Look at that one. Looks like a boat. Looks very heavy, and it's got these flapping wings like Leonardo da Vinci. And that, no way would that fly. I could see what these scientists are saying, you know. Even if it was nuclear powered, right? I don't think those flapping wings on it would make it fly. Unless it's for decoration, of course. Like I said, you can always keep twisting the story and say, oh yeah, it's fusion powered, but there's no evidence in the writing talking about It was talking about donkey urine. It wasn't talking about fusion power. So, yeah, sort of, you can make up stuff, but it still doesn't fit the facts, in the papers. So that's a wiki on it. And people say, oh, you can't use wiki. Well, we used it along with other documents. And wiki is getting better all the time. They've got people checking it. In the past, it was pretty bad when it first started out, but wiki's not so bad nowadays. It does have a few errors and whatnot in them. Often they put up the top here. Often they put up the top here, section such and such is under review, or it's being re-edited. Anyway, we just want to go on to security and wrap up on his stuff. I want to talk about each of the bits in it. Time's flying fast. But despite all the little problems we had starting late, I think it's sort of worked out all right today. And hopefully people will find it interesting. So where's his page? So I see my subs went up one and went down one and went up one. It's been doing that every day now. It's been going up one, down one. So these are the two. So let's start this one here. I've covered a lot of this in the past ones as well, the live streams. What speed is it on? We'll make it a bit quicker. Okay. Let's just find the spot first. Okay, that one there. I don't know. Talking about these black things. That's actually a painting. It's not actually a real photograph. So I've talked about that in black triangles. Not triangles, black rectangles. Episode I did. This one here. So I'll just talk about that one first. Black. Oh, I'll just call it rectangle, probably. Rect. Use wildcards. Can't remember if the search for it uses wildcards. Rectangle. Probably have to type rectangle in. Wish I had a working keyboard where I don't have to use a number pad. So these ones here, square UFOs real. And you can see I've got that picture on the thumbnail. So I talk about that and I show you the source of the image, where it's tracked to. I did a reverse image search on it. And it has a caption on one of the pages I find saying artist rendering. So it's not a photograph. It's actually eyewitness account and they drew a picture of it. So rectangle. Let's see what I'm typing here. The rect UFP. Why's my insert key not working there? Okay. Of course, a lot of them turn out to be what that one I had underneath there, which turns out to be banner planes. A lot of the sightings turn out to be these, where you don't actually see the plane because it's too small. So we've done a few of those over the years of looking at these UFO photographs and whatnot. So carry on.
Giant mystery blobs, basically, that have been appearing on radar all over the United States. Now, if you remember, I posted my first video about this about a month ago, and it was titled Nationwide Happening Covered Up, and we didn't even know it. And if you haven't seen that video, I'll put the link to it down below, as well as the links to everything else we're going to talk about today. But in that video, I basically...
So he's talking about these weather radar maps where they're getting the mass of objects. So I'll go over that in a minute.
things, whatever you want to call it, were appearing on radar. The only problem was that at the time these things appeared, there were no storms happening, no thunderstorms, no rainstorms, no nothing. And, things that would typically show up this massive on radar. So these giant blobs appearing on radar had to be something else that was in the sky that was being picked up. And what we found out was within the same week and within a couple of days of one another, from Florida all the way up to Massachusetts, the military had come out and claimed that they were doing an exercise in which they have these massive planes that fly over and actually spray out this radar jamming material called chaff, which is basically made up of these very small metal fragments that these planes use to spray out into the atmosphere, which actually is used to jam radar, or in other words, hide something from being picked up on radar. But even
so, is that true what it just said there? What is chaff used for? So let's find out. And radar, he reckons. What is chaff used for? So let's see if that's true. It's like someone's typed it in before. That's not the kind of chaff that we're looking for. It's animal chaff. I think I spelled it right, haven't I? Chaff, military. Might be spelt different way. There we go. So it's spelt the same way. And flares are measures used by military planes and helicopters to help them evade a missile attack. So it's not what he said to hide stuff in radar. It's trying to confuse, as you have a look here. Chaff is actually quite hot by the looks of it. Heat-seeking missiles. So let's see. What's the purpose of chaff? Chaff is also made by chopping straw. No, that's the wrong kind of chaff. What's the difference between chaff and flare? Let's have a look. Both chaff and flare are defensive countermeasures deployed by military craft. The purpose is to infuse radar-guided or infrared-guided anti-missiles fired. Chaff is composed of millions of tiny little aluminium or zinc-coated fibers stored on board the aircraft. Of course, this obviously is going to fall down pretty quick with gravity. But the key here is it's not like a normal radar that they use, to track planes. It's as we'll go into more detail, there's lots of different radars, and the missile ones have a certain bandwidth and range that they can track objects in front of them. They can't track stuff long range, like long range radar. It's only for short distances. And why would they be dropping chaff? For military exercises, not to cover up UFOs landing. Obviously, because as I've looked at radar information, talking about different types of radars. So let's go to that one. Radar configuration types. Configurations. So this is all the different radar types. So obviously, they're specialized for their own task, right? Emitter and receiver, antenna, and wavelength. The wavelength is the important part there. Scan strategies. So obviously you're talking about firmware to be able to determine what it's seeing. So we got ballistic radar, continuous wave radar, Doppler radar, which can be used by weather. FMCW radar, monopulse radar, passive radar, planar array radar, and it's all these different ones, and they use different techniques. Planar array radar, pulse Doppler radar, synthetic aperture radar. So it goes down and breaks it all down for you. So search, early warning radar, it's still going on. Detection and radars. Search radars scan great volumes of space with pulses of short radio waves. They typically scan the volume 2 to 4 times in a minute. The waves are usually less than a meter long. Ships and planes are metal and reflect radio waves. The radar measures the distance to the reflector by measuring the time of the round trip from the emission, like light reflects off a mirror, emission of a pulse to reception, dividing this by 2 and then multiplying by the speed of light to be accepted. The received pulse has to lie within what's happened there? Something within a certain period. Not sure what that there is of time, called a range gate. The radar determines the direction because the short waves behave like a searchlight when emitted from a reflector of the radar set's antenna. So now we got some other search radars, which obviously come under one of these types. Probably is it? Let's see. Configurations, strategies. But we now got early warning radar, ground control intercept radar, airborne early warning radar, airborne ground surveillance. You really think that chaff is going to block all these different radars? No. It'll see straight through little pieces of tinfoil quite happily. Anti-aircraft artillery, it just goes on and on. Targeting radars, missile guidance systems, which is what chaff is used for. Air-to-air missile, air-to-surface. So it's used on these particular computer intelligence systems, which tries to work out where the target is, and doesn't sort of blow up a whole flock of geese or whatever. It can tell the difference between a flock of geese and a plane that it's trying to track. So he's talking about here weather radar, which is reflecting of mostly water particles in the air. Doesn't have to be like storms or anything. It can be just anything that's small in the atmosphere, that's in dense form. And as you know, it can be birds. It can be also butterflies, migration, geese. And also some of these ones he mentioned were actually a problem with the software they installed. They did a radar upgrade on one of the systems or something, and it was returning wrong information. It hadn't been calibrated or something. I think that was it turned out. So he hasn't corrected his information here. I can't remember which one it was now, but I did talk about it before. So we'll just carry on listening, because I just love listening to fake news, you know. So you can see here, weather radar, it's not going to, you can't see any planes on the map, right? So obviously the chaff, if that's all chaff, it's not going to be hiding planes, because we can't see any planes outside of this area either, right? There's no planes visible. Common sense.
Out this radar jamming material called chaff, which is basically made up of these very small metal fragments that these planes use to spray out into the atmosphere, which actually is used to jam radar, or in other words, hide something from being picked up on radar. But even then, things started to make even less sense after pilots from these local Air Force bases where these things were being seen basically said, no, there is no exercise going. We don't even have these type of planes that are used to spray this stuff into the atmosphere.
Okay, that one there was a flock of birds, I think, when I looked it up.
Which led further people to believe that whatever was appearing on radar may have been something else entirely in the sky. And so if you want to check out that whole video to hear the whole story, I'll put the link down below.
No,
but now we have this new report, courtesy of thedrive.com, of yet another mystery cloud of chaff that was caught lighting up radar over dozens of miles of New Mexico airspace. And as they describe this in the article, in the byline,
and they're doing a lot of preparations for the southern border there with patrols and stuff, you know. New Mexico. That's down near where you are, isn't it? Next door, is it? Is that New Mexico
No,
here?
where is it?
Next door to you, Arizona. New Mexico is next door to you, though. You're in Arizona. So, have you seen any military exercises dropping calf near you?
Oh, it would surprise me. Are you kidding? I'm surrounded by Air Force Base.
So, yeah.
Line here, it says, quote, "It is the latest in a string of peculiar chaff release events from across the U.S. that have drawn a lot of attention in recent months." And so what you guys are seeing here, the radar reading where this massive blob suddenly appears. And while I'll let you guys go and read the article, it basically asks the same questions that I'm going to ask you guys, and the question I have myself, which is, if this is chaff, and if it is these planes spraying this stuff, what are they trying to cover up in our skies? First, it happened where they were spraying from Florida to Maine.
So, as we pointed out, they're not trying to cover up anything. They're just doing it for military exercises, trying to evade missile lock-ons. Obviously, they fire dummy missiles, I guess, that don't explode. I don't know. How do they do war practice with missiles? I'm not too sure. Does it actually hit the plane? I don't know. That would probably cause plane damage to the plane. Maybe they can. Maybe the missile gets so close, and then the software terminates it, and then it just falls out the sky on a parachute or something. I don't know. I thought maybe you might have known something, seen it actually happening around your area, since you're surrounded by those Air Force bases. But I guess people just get sick of looking up in the sky because they know the planes are there and they're doing exercises all the time. You just don't pay any attention to it anymore. Probably you sort of get dumbed down. Well, not dumbed down. You sort of get what's the word? Used to it. I don't know.
Anymore, yeah.
Yeah. Like if you had a helicopter fly over your house, you probably may or may not look up to see what it's doing. So, you know.
Yeah, I don't, because police helicopter flying over all the time, and then during the day, especially today, oh my God, military jets all day long flying over the house. They're so dang loud. But they crazy in here.
Yeah. It would be good to actually see some of the military exercises. You could probably set up some cameras at your house and stream it onto Google, see what's going on. But you'll probably get close.
Yeah, the best place to see that is down around Quartzsite or Yuba. A lot of it out there, where they ospreys and things like that.
Yeah, they're the helicopter. They're the planes that look like a helicopter.
Yes.
Ospreys. They're pretty cool looking planes, those ones. You see those in Predator and movies like that. Osprey. That's how you spell it. Plane.
Still alive. A lot of people died.
Here we go. Here's one of them. Yep. Really cool takeoff planes. There you go. Get a zoom in on it. Yes. Very interesting concept, I guess. Balboa V-22. So, what was else in this? Let's just go through this video. I think we're done with this weather business. So, what was this one? Oh, this one's this is Mr. MBB. I think I had one of those ones up there on my page. I'll just have to go down to it. We haven't got too much longer to go, actually, hopefully. Where is it?
Yeah.
The problem with Twitter, it takes a long time for it to come up. What was that one? That was Third Phase on the Moon. This one here, I probably won't go over them, but I'll just talk about this one quickly now. They reckon, what is it? I said, really? Third phase of the second she pile? Poo pile? Looks like a sun breaking through some storm clouds as cars are passing. So if you watch that video, you see cars passing down here. It's filmed out a car window here. It looks like a really dark sky where the sun's finally breaking through the clouds there. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's what I thought when I saw that one. Anyway. All right, we got to get back to that. Here's the square cloud. So I did some post on this one here. So that's basically what this video boils down to, is this frame, which is one of the better ones. And we've talked about these square clouds before, rectangular clouds before, and Metabunk. Did I post the Metabunk debunk for it? I think I posted it in the second comment. I can't remember if I did or not.
Yeah, do
Um,
that.
maybe I didn't. But anyway, we talked about these rectangle square clouds that actually form naturally. If it goes over a certain landmass and you get the right air currents, you get the crosswinds just right, it'll form these square patterns, and it will slowly drift across the sky and form these big sheets of square clouds. So the next bit he brings up is this one here on Google.
For Mr. MBB333, where a viewer had sent him in a...
Now, Mr. MBB333 needs to go into a blacklist as far as I'm concerned. He's the guy that's cross-promoting using Secure Team to build up his channel. And even now you can see here that it's not actually a black hole, but it's just another white cloud layer. Probably lower than the other cloud layer that we're seeing there. But Mr. MBB, he's one of these guys that claims to be doing analysis like I do, but all his conclusions turn out to be UFO related. Mothership, cloaked UFO in the sky, a big square UFO or whatever. So yeah, he really needs to go into a blacklist. I think he had like getting close to 240,000 subscribers, didn't he, when we last looked at him? But anyone that shares stuff with Secure Team is obviously part of the hoaxer group, poking out their fake news, trying to claim this is actually alien-made craft in the sky when it's, or a mothership, when it clearly it's just something natural. There's no mystery. So you can run it through filters and change the color of it, of course, to make it look more UFO-y. But it makes it stand out a bit more, I guess. But if you look at the edges, you can see it's all whispery, edged clouds. It's not actually like a straight, solid craft or anything like that. Now he goes on to the other clouds that I have debunked before, which I put into that comment on Twitter here. Those two videos there. And Metabunk also had put out stuff. You can actually type it in and find them if you want. He talks about how the clouds are made. Metabunk. Well, rectangle clouds, I suppose. Well, let's just type in clouds, see what comes up. It's probably got the Google Earth one too, probably. No, let's try square or rectangle. Narrow it down a bit more. Explaining flying carpet shaped clouds. Okay. Is that one of them he's got up at the moment, is it? So here we go, a nice little square cloud. Pretty cool. Cool looking, like a flying carpet. Maybe that's where the flying carpets come from. Maybe it's related to this, natural phenomenon. You could see how the stories like these from ancient times can get formed.
Yeah.
And some streaks. Contrails can do it, I guess. But he's missed one where it's talking about natural. So you can see that one's natural here. You can see it's sort of made up of these bits coming across this way, left to right, left to right. There's another good example. I think he's got more pictures of these than the security team has. There's no one. I think we got 2 flying carpets here. It'll be, if you look at the region that these occur in, you'll see there'll be mountain ranges or something. Look at this one. That one's sort of strange looking. That wasn't the one I was looking for. I was looking for the one where he actually debunks a wee bit better with the landmass. Maybe it's try square, maybe. Well, actually, I should have posted that link because people might want to look at it, I guess. Let's just post it down there. Another plug for Metabunk. Yeah, the free advertising I give this guy. There should be another one. Screw it out. I've probably talked about this a zillion times though. Rectangles. Square clouds. Here we go. I've got another one. I think this might be the one where he talks about landmass. And some of them don't even have 4 sides. This one clearly isn't 4 sides. See this? So this looks like the right page. I'll just post it down. But he does a satellite view where a square cloud is being formed here, I think. There's another one with a plane flying over top of it. And he's talking about land masses, how it's formed. Comes off the coast, certain coast shapes. Let's see. He's got a better image here somewhere. Or at least I think he has. Might be in a video, maybe. So what's he saying here? You can start to see a cloud being formed over mountain ridges here. Is it? Let's see. Satellite image from today. Sometime later than my photos. Lots of contrails among the clouds. This might be the same hole happening, drifted northwest with the wind. Okay, so he's added some more to it. I'm not sure if that's the one or not. I think we'll have to read the writing talking about the edge of the cloud seems to follow the Texas-Louisiana state boundary, which lies along Sabine River.
Oh, my young friend, I need to flip away here. Boy, I had enough that I say that.
Okay. Well, I still only got a couple bits to go over. But you can see here, if you zoom in, you can start to see this cloud being formed that has a rectangular shape to it, right on the coastline here. So the wind's blowing this way, the slipstream, and you can see that it's starting to create this square cloud that he's trying to show there. Anyway, did I post that one? I did. But the next bit is this satellite one. So you gone now, John, or what? Or yeah, I think he's gone. Let's see. I don't normally hear the sound when people disconnect. For some reason, something to do with the new setup. So let's just carry on through here. A couple more to work through. Now this one on Google Earth is easily explained. They don't take it all in one snapshot. It's what you call a stitching error. It might be 12 hours apart. By then the Earth's rotated and the satellite that's coming around to take another snapshot didn't quite get the full image at the time. And what they do is they simply just stitch the two images together, and of course by then the cloud has moved or changed.
Across the Earth from space, here is some new footage from the International Space Station where they were heading over and stretching from pole to pole. We have this massive straight-lined cloud front just wrapping around the Earth. And so this should remind you guys of a video that I posted, I think it was about a year ago, one of our most popular videos, millions of views, where again, we had found using Google Earth and weather satellite imagery,
Okay, so it's not real-time weather, obviously, and you can see here, obviously, it's been stitched together from two separate images, maybe a few hours apart or a day apart, whatever. So they update it not in real time on Google Earth. They update it ever so often. So maybe that will change in future where it is actually real time. But I'm not too sure how often the satellites pass over. So it must be a certain period. The weather satellites take a snapshot every hour or whatever. So I suppose it's never ever going to be real time. But yeah, what's he trying to say here? I'm not too sure. The Aries site. There's that square cloud that Metabunk was talking about. So that one's done with, I think, this video. I think that's talking about these lights in the sky here. I'll just play that bit. Oh, I better mute it. So there's a few lights here going into a storm cloud. Notice how they're flying around the circle there, though. Simply flying around the circle. So I'm not too sure what it is, but clearly it's not going to be alien craft. I had put some out theories there that it could be someone flying an LED kite, because we're not seeing the material, but we're seeing the lights on it. Can't quite seem to. They look like they're sticking together. It looks like some material there. It looks like some black material there. It showed up in the image there. We're just not getting enough zoom on it. Could be two kites or one big kite. It could have one of these flappy towers on it with LED lights on it as well. I'm not sure if it's a bunch of drones being flown in a syncing pattern. But yeah, but he's got another one showing up here. All right, he really appreciates you guys out there. And that's because his views and subs are dropping like crazy at the moment. And because people are starting to wake up to his stuff being presented. So let's move on to the next one, which is this one here. which was talking about someone died in the hospital and they use a robot with a guy's face on a picture screen to go and tell the person had died to the family or something. But I'm not sure what that's got to do with UFOs, but oh well, too bad. Artificial metals found on the surface of Mars. So we just go over this one.
Check out today, the first of which is this really strangely shaped, almost artificial looking object that was captured in a photograph taken by one of the rovers on planet Mars. And so there's two different pics of this, and each pic I'll put down below. First, we have this sort of black and white, low resolution image where pretty much sticking out like a sore thumb, we notice what it kind of at first looks like maybe a strangely shaped rock. But as you zoom in, it starts to take a more of a sort of like a fabricated like structure to it. You'll notice there's a big, like almost perfect circular hole.
Okay, so I had a look at this in close up, see if I could see if it was a piece of metal, actually a rock. But they've got a gigapixel image here, which they zoom in on. So the theories range from, could it be a piece of metal dropped off the rover or space debris from past probes? What was the other ones? Could it have been the rover had drilled a hole to get a sample on something there and made a hole? But having a look in it in a graphic editor, we'll probably go further up, is it? Here's somewhere. Here's the image I did, some enhancement. Okay. Need to get rid of that bit on the bottom. As you can see, it's got some depth to it. It's not like a thin piece of aluminium or alloy or aluminum, as Americans call it. Not a piece of metal, crumpled up piece of metal with a hot circular hole in it. You can see that it's actually got some depth to it at the bottom here. If you compare it to the other rocks or pebbles other side of it, we're not too sure how big it is from the zoom in. But it's probably going to be like a small rock of some sort. And you can see here it's sort of got thickness at the base here. Looks a wee bit thick to be a piece of metal. It looks more like it's a piece of rock still that has a strange shaped hole in it. Now, I did some searching on the web. In fact, there's another image here called the space pipe, which was also from gigapixels. The space pipe was in here. Unfortunately, that pop-up happens. Down the bottom here, when I move the mouse, there's the so-called pipe. So when you enhance it properly, you can see here it's not actually a pipe. It's actually like a dip or a hole inside of a rock, a natural formed hole in the rock. No pipe, just a dip. You can see here it's no pipe sticking out. That's just how people have taken the image and enhanced it to say that's a pipe on Mars. You know, people like Richard Hoagland and whatnot. So you can see there, it looks really much like a rock. And this one is going to be the same. So what kind of rocks on Mars can produce natural holes is the next question. And I said here, searching the web, that some meteorites have holes in it. It's very rare for a meteorite to have a hole in it, but if you have a big meteorite that sort of impacts the surface of the moon or Mars, it creates an amount of energy that sort of melts the rock, and then it shoots it off into the air, and then it forms into another chunk of rock. And because of any sort of other rocks hitting it or air friction can actually make little holes in it. So it's one way that it can happen. Also, there's rocks on Earth that are formed by volcanic activity, lava flows, and such rocks can be formed on Mars because Mars has ancient volcanoes that obviously ejected a lot of material out into space. So what we probably need to know is probably the location of where the rover was in relation to ancient volcanoes. And I bet now if we search the internet, there'll be some explanations for this type of rock. This is what I did when I first looked at it. In fact, if I click on this post here, I found an example of a rock on Mars. Here it is here, which is a meteorite from a meteorite. As you can see, it has little holes in it. It has holes there. And Martian basalt, as I call it. Meteorites, rocks from Mars. So you can see it's got little rock holes in it. And of course, wind. Mars has wind, which can erode rocks, of course. And if it's got a hole in it, that's just going to make it bigger and bigger. With sand blasting it and whatnot. So, yeah. Be good to do an update on that one, see if there's any more information out there on this sighting of the rock, which they're saying is metal because of the color. But you can see here the rocks, or the stones around it, all the same color. Little tiny rocks, same color. I'm not sure what else was on there. So a lot of these have been explained. I can't remember what I explained each of these as. But they're just natural rocks. And I've debunked this one here as well, which is space debris from the rover. I'm not sure if he's actually saying that or not. Let's have a look. No. That's actually the heat shield. That one there is a heat shield, which I have debunked here before. There should be an image for it. Why is it not coming up? Should be more than that. I spelled it wrong. Let's have a look. Keys are not working on this old laptop. I'm getting a new one soon. So this one here, which I turned into a comedy with the Star Wars speeder. They call it the Star Wars speeder. I'll post the link down the bottom here. So what's when the lander lands, it obviously will have some space junk associated with it from the parachute. And yeah, where is the beginning of it? They call it the call it the rover debris field. They call it normally. So humans are already polluting other planets. Debris. Oh. In trouble with these keys. I really am. Okay. So that's that video there. And there are some pictures at the end too. As if Google will load it, but it's probably just easy just to watch it all. 3 minutes long or whatever, 4 minutes. What is it, 4 minutes? Where I show some pictures of the debris field at the end here. Just won't load them up for this of it. But we'll just carry on. Looks like it's not going to cooperate for some reason. later these have been explained. There's artifacts, debris, and do that one showing a clip of the thing again, which could be a kite, could be drones, and then this one in Germany, which
a couple of massive bright lights or orbs that can be seen doing something in the distance before finally disappearing.
Ja, aber ziemlich schlecht. Ich gehe so mal ein bisschen zurück. Guck, die fliegen wie die wollen. Alter. Aber richtig schnell, siehst du das? Guck mal.
Was ist das denn für ein Scheiß, Alter? Noch nie gesehen, so Quatsch.
Ich auch nicht. Aber was ist
das? Weird.
Boah, der ist lieber über uns.
Oha. Ach du Scheiße. Fuck.
It's weird.
Fuck.
Alter, guck mal, wie die fliegen.
Ich sag doch, guck mal. Die machen, was die wollen. Aber voll schnell.
Looks like they're going downwards to me there.
Jetzt überleg mal, was für eine Geschwindigkeit. Die guck jetzt wieder weg. Einer ist verschwunden. Jetzt sind beide verschwunden.
To me, they look like drones with LED
very
lights on.
strange piece of footage.
Strange piece of footage. No, it's not strange. So, probably need to wrap it up there because I've got dinner to eat. And it's 3 hours long. And silly one there of the cloud, sun breaking through clouds, a bit like that third phase on the moon one, but forms the image of Jesus, so people think. I think I've pretty much covered everything I'm going to talk about. Yeah, so we'll just leave it there now, and I'm just going to wind down the live. And thanks for watching, and see you again my Friday, which will be Thursday afternoon to evening for people in East Coast to West Coast there. So 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. depending on where you are. I'll be doing a lunchtime 1 p.m. one on Friday, and then after that I'll be doing a Sunday one, which will be Saturday. So Thursday and Saturday your time. So I'll see you then, and I'll just wind down with my end credits here. Hopefully it all worked all right. We've got new changes that Google are doing. Do like and share, helps me out. I'll end it this way.